Our first panel will focus on a timely topic, boardroom expectations from talent functions in the current context. We'll explore how CHROs and senior leaders are responding to these expectations, balancing speed with quality and adopting technology responsibly. Please join me in welcoming our panelists to the stage. Anchoring this discussion is Rajesh Mishra, partner at KPMG. With over 20 years of experience across BFSI, technology and telecom, Rajesh specializes in GTM strategy, process transformation and sales acceleration, and has been instrumental in building insight-led sales surveys at KPMG. He brings a strong consulting and facilitation lens to today's discussion.
Hi, a very good afternoon to all of you. And good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies. May I expect a reciprocation at your end as well? Thank you. Isn't the afternoon good? Yes. Isn't it interesting? Especially I enjoyed the session, last 45 minutes. It was a lovely lineup of speeches by people who have so much of experience, expertise across all segments. We had Avantika, we had Mr. Prasanna, we had Arun. And I was just thinking over these names. Avantika basically means lots of wisdom. Arun talks about sun. And Prasanna talks about happiness. And I can say the topics today are all about the rising industry, about happiness, about wisdom all across. With that benchmark set, I can only say the entire stage up that has come sets more expectations for me and other panelists to come across. Guys, we need a lot of support. We need a lot of mixing up from both of sides to make this session and the panel more successful. I take pride and privilege in moderating the session. I have my colleagues here with me who have a rich and diverse experience across industries, spanning across several decades, across different segments. People who have worked with senior management across boards and talent functions. The topic for today is very well known. Just to set a context, let me say, about a few decades back, if I say, what were the discussions about talent and hiring? And the questions were very simple. How soon can you fill the seat? The question was, how do you reduce the TAT and how soon you fill up the seat? Today, as we all know, time and tide waits for no man. Changes have been occurring all across, and both time and tide leave their signatures on the marks and the sands of time, on the rocks as well. Movements have happened, technology emerged, change across. Expectations have been changing continuously. They've got more focused, they have been far broader, far more defined and refined. Boardroom expectations have started changing. Definitely, one thing is that what exactly is the ROI? But that ROI is something that may be a punchline. The detailing, when you go across it, there are changes that have occurred from jobs to careers, careers to skilling, upskilling, and reskilling your own selves. People are talking about how soon you can not only hire, but how soon can that position come up to competence levels. Changes that have been moving from AI support to AI augmented to powered as well. So the topic for today and the framework is more what we're looking at in the future is movement. It is capacity versus capability, where capability takes over capacity. It is not activity, it is more of productivity. So productivity takes over activity. And thirdly, it is not merely about opportunity, it is about merit and performance in the tasks. With that, I welcome my guests once again. So I have Raja, I have Magesh, I have Bala here, and all of you have worked across different industries, in different segments, have been involved in live projects and implementation. Let's have my first question. So Bala, that's to you. The first question goes to Bala. And if you can help us understand, and the audience understand here, that how does the CEO or the boardroom look at talent acquisition as a function in today's times, and as far as future is going, with technology shaping up and taking charge or role? Of course, there have been lots of guardrails around compliance, agenticity. So what are the key expectations of the board?
Okay, thank you. I wouldn't get into the hygiene because a lot of talent acquisition experts are out here. So no metrics. Fundamentally, a CEO or a managing director wants to know whether you understand where your talent is lying in terms of future preparedness. Now, how much do you know the talent? How much do you know the industry? How much do you know your own business? and what is the talent persona awareness that you have. And these are some very easy and simple prerogatives the CEO has in the mind. So it's very important that you understand what kind of talent you would want to hire. Do you have to go to homogeneous industries, or would you have to stick your neck out to go to very diverse industries to get your talent? Should it be across generations, or should it be something which is similarly resonating with your existing colleagues? So that is fundamentally number one priority. Now, second, of course, a lot of AI was spoken about. I come from a very manufacturing ecosystem. I represent the Bosch Limited. Interdisciplinary sciences of engineering are converging when it comes to mobility as a business. Mobility is at the forefront in automotive. All of you know 65 to 70% largely is electronics in automotive. Now, and we talk about ADAS and autonomous driving. Now, given this perspective, you need to go to very different cognitively very different personalities across industries. Now, how do you kind of amalgamate them? What is it that they are going to talk to each other if they were to be coming on board, and how are they going to be perseverant with each other when it comes to conflicting knowledge workers coming together? So this is two. And the third most important thing, obviously, is corporate governance. Now, whatever said and done, whatever scale of business you are in, whether you're going to be on an exploratory phase or evolutionary phase, I think corporate governance is extremely important. So these are three priorities that immediately comes to my mind.
Thank you so much for that. Anything you want to add on?
Okay. Thanks a lot for the invite. First of all, just want to talk about outside of boardroom, what else also is getting discussed.
Sure.
And also the question is, does the talent acquisition leader or a talent leader have all the answers? Because the boardroom is asking a question, because in the past, if I go into a meeting room, all I wanted to know is how many numbers to fill, right? And they don't care about which city, what city, and all of those things. Now the first question comes is like, how many talents are available inside? Which means we need to understand the skills availability within the company to start with. And as a talent acquisition, if I go as a silo approach, this is not going to help me. That is where the close collaboration works with the talent management team, learning and development team, workforce planning team, to see that what is the skills that are currently available and how much we can leverage and how much we can upskill. That is more important for the boardroom to understand.
Right.
After all these segments is where your external hiring comes. And even if I go to the external hiring, we need to have an answer which university can partner with us. Right? It's not like in the past I go to the top tier colleges and then keep recruiting people. No, not now. It's not like that. It has changed. Can we add the curriculum to it? And what is the benefit that we can get out of it? Can we change the way the education system is happening? If we have answers to all these things, then I can survive in the job. Otherwise, the first person who is going to change is me.
Got it. Thank you so much.
I have just one more.
Please.
Sorry, one more this thing which I am seeing happening here, right? Now people are looking at global talent. So when I go and ask my recruitment team for a talent, right, I don't go and say, I expect the person to tell me this person could be available in Australia or in India or in Singapore. And for me, my talent leader whom I reach out to is going to be my single point of contact. And I would expect the talent team, the talent acquisition team internally, to have a good network among themselves to get it, right? I don't want someone to tell me, if you want to go and hire in Australia, speak to person X. If you want to go and hire someone in Singapore, speak to person Y. So that's also something which is changing, because people are now ready to pay for talent, good talent, wherever it is available. No longer are we looking at cost as a factor to get talent in, right? It's, if I get an amazing talent, if the person is sitting wherever in the world, I'm ready to pay for the person. Is my talent acquisition team actually ready to get me that person anywhere in the world?
Thanks for that, all three of you.
In fact, the
Please.
location strategy is getting discussed with the talent team today. If I need to open an office in a country or in the location, that kind of discussion started happening. If I roll back 10 years, this was never a discussion with the talent team. We have been always told, but right now that's getting discussed. Whether to open in Mexico or whether to open in wherever the country is that talent available?
So I think overall these points just add up to a line which we've been saying for long, that world is becoming a global village. So well, understanding the expectations from board, let me build it to the next level now. So one is getting people from different segments, sectors, right talent, right places, and decreasing the TAT. Now, something that will orchestrate all this is going to be the automation tools that come into picture. Now, these tools like Hyreo and the softwares that are, helping boost up this entire journey. So the question is that the implementation phase, how this automation will be supported by adoption, where I believe automation is an outcome and adoption is the journey. So what would you want to speak on the implementation, especially Raja, Magesh, since you have more experience on this side, would you like to help the audience and me and understand that what is it that will give a very seamless experience in terms of adoption? Adoption, of course, on all sides, from recruiter side, talent side, business side.
I think any implementation cannot be done in isolation. You need to take the end users into account when you start it, right? Let's say if you are implementing an ATS, for example, you follow a particular system, the ATS works in a particular manner, you expect your managers to go and do a lot of self-service. But if your other systems are not self-service oriented, right? A manager is going to push back saying that, why should I do it? Why can't the talent acquisition person do this for me? So it should never be done in isolation. So it's basically you have to do it end to end. If you are looking at self-service, I'm taking that as an example. Mm-hmm. It should be across the entire life cycle of an employee. That's when it becomes successful. The other one is also in terms of taking managers through the change. It's going to be very difficult for them to change overnight. So the change management plays a very important part. Many times we in HR, be it TA, comp and ben, everything, we make the mistake of implementing something for HR's purposes. At the end of the day, the end user is the employee and the managers. Are they actually getting benefited by that is what we need to look at when we do any sort of implementation.
Okay. One is we need to understand the purpose of the change or purpose of the automation. What is the expected outcome or what is the expected return that we are looking forward from this implementation is more critical than anything else. There's a lot of tools available in the market, right? Today my problem is most of the folks doesn't know the difference between the job description and the job posting. To that level, we have set of people being operated in the system. So we need to start explaining the purpose. What is the benefit that he or she is going to get out of it? And then comes the tool implementation. There's a lot of 100 tools available in the market. In fact, I was talking to a person outside. It's at 60% of the recruiter's job is getting reduced. Now, if I reduce that 60% to any recruiter, what does that recruiter is going to do? We never thought about it, right? And that's where the fear comes into the picture of, am I going to lose the job? That's the question probably I'll answer later as and when the scenario goes, but definitely this thought comes into the picture. So the problem is the purpose has not been clearly communicated and the why is not being told to the audience. And we need to have the upfront buy-in from those audience, from the ground level people to go into the project. Otherwise, this is going to be just an automation, a checkbox on whoever is implementing.
Okay.
Oh, I think I second. Ecosystem building becomes very, very important. Advocacy, when you bring in change, when you bring in tools, this could go in seamlessly once the preparedness is established. So in terms of creating awareness, knowing your target audience, and rightly put, not just HR, I think he spoke, not just HR, it's about a business case where these evolve out of. If that is a thing, along with sufficient awareness and ecosystem building, if you do this right, I think the rest would be a seamless integration into the system.
There's one more interesting thing, right? It's pre-non-AI world. Many times I have seen a lot of implementation, you get a wonderful tool. You have a manual process. You just put on the manual process on the tool, right? You implement Workday, but then the same manual process that you are following, instead of doing it through email, you do it through Workday. That's absolutely not what these tools are for, right? How do you optimize the process? How do you actually transform? And many times things fail because of this. Because the end users finally come back and say that, hey, I was doing it on email, which was much easier for me. Now you ask me to click on 2 links and do the same thing again. So it really doesn't help me. So I think that's whenever you do an implementation, it's a great opportunity for transforming the entire way you work. And that's how you need to look at it.
That's the place where we say that the participation of business and all other verticals needs to come together. Somebody doing something only on the email, it remains there only on the mail and the trails are not traced out later. But when things go on the tool, they are preserved there, and that gets into knowledge repository. I'll put an example here, a real life example. I was employed with an organization about 7-8 years back, and this was one of the largest global mergers that happened at that point of time. I'll not name, you may want to guess it out. 2 telcos came together for a merger, both with 17,000 employees all across. And as a part of the process, it was defined that there'll be interviews happening at both sides. So A will interview all the employees of B, and B will interview all the employees of C, because A and B will come together to make another company C. And obviously, the manpower cannot be A plus B equal to AB. It had to be A plus B also equal to only A or A plus plus. So a lot of resizing, restructuring was done, and lots of brainstorming from either sides. It was only an AI and a tool, many tools were evaluated, and one tool which we got close finally, it helped automated interviews. You could not have practically 12,000 plus 12,000, 24,000 interviews, and mark me, this all across levels, up to board levels, up to CEO level, all interviews happen. So at some level, it was decided that there will be face-to-face interviews, but at the mass level, where there was a lot of mundane activities involved, questions were defined, and AI-powered interviews, and it all went very well. To give my own example, you'll believe I evaluated 200 people in 1 week, all AI interviews done. Straight away recordings came, questions, answers, question, answers. You went on giving the points, and ultimately it made a merit tool as well. So coming back to the point that was on adoption, moving over to the next level. Now when we talk about tools, we talk about adoption, we talk about automation. Now, and as my guests here, my friends here are from diverse industries, which industries are seen or you see are ahead in this race? Very obviously, one thing may be that those who are hiring more, hiring faster, varied talent or talent specific and niche talent. So if we were to enlighten our audience also on this, which industries you think will be ahead in this race? Who will be using these tools faster? Who can be a quick target segment?
Okay. I wouldn't call it a race. I would call it a deep impact within whatever industry you are in. So like I said, manufacturing, we make it a point to sell manufacturing to the eyes of talent, because it does not look very attractive, both at universities and even as a professional categories, right? But trust me, the amount of impact AI is seen, rather we are seeing through AI on the shop floor, in terms of our own machines, in terms of the planning that happens, in terms of smart factories that are getting set up, be it anything, just not recruiting, but anything that is there that's a part of business. I think there is tremendous impact. And talent acquisition follows the same suit. So to me, the level of impact, the level of tangible results, the ROI, and perhaps a delight that can be visibly seen is definitely there in manufacturing. And I see sufficient use cases, and as I speak, there are use cases that we are generating in manufacturing, including talent acquisition, and I see deeper impact, definitely in manufacturing.
Sure.
I think it depends on the maturity of the organization, at what stage they are in is also more important. I was attending one of the forum like a couple of months back where I see most of the big fours and fintechs have implemented already a lot of AI related activities, and it is fast paced, because in that fintech industry I can clearly say that the skills validation or the expiry date of the skills is just 1.5 to 2 years. That's it. After that it gets elapsed, and if we don't manage that kind of portfolio coming in, then we are at the loss. But at the same time, the industry which is going to take or which is taking longer time is definitely the healthcare, because of the skills. Sure. And because of the size of the industry, it is complicated to implement anything over there. You take any hospitals, like there's a lot of things we can automate, and there's a lot of processes can be eliminated, but still we are doing the paperwork, still you have to go and stand in the line, and still we are meeting the people. So that also reflects automatically in talent acquisition, right? And that is why your floor recruitment is more than the R&D side of it and all of those things. Sure. So it depends on the maturity of the industry, and the willingness to change from the organization is more important.
Okay.
I think if I look at talent acquisition as a function itself, it's going to impact across industries, right? If you look at what Arun was showing in terms of creating a JD, reaching out to the candidate, having the initial conversation with the candidate, everything, that's similar for all the industries. So that's going to get impacted. But what would really change is which part of it, where you bring the human part of it. Let's say if I'm going to hire for we look at hiring at junior levels or hiring on shop floor. everything as mass recruitment. So it's a standardized set of questions, everything which you do, and you can use AI to do it. But even if you're, for example, if you're hiring a CEO or a CFO, the initial search is going to be based on the same parameters. So that search, looking at the entire set of population to identify potential candidates, still AI comes in. What might change here is that you will have your, the human interaction would be different here, because you'll have, since it's a very crucial role, you'll have more human interaction in the process. But I think AI will cut through the entire TA process. Depending upon the seniority of the role, the scarcity of the profile, you will have human interventions coming in.
Yeah, I do understand. It will always, after a certain level, there will be roles which will require the human intervention. And so one, we spoke on the top level expectations. We spoke about the automation happening. We spoke about the industries that are getting more matured, a better word given. And now, if I look at this, the future sees a triangular impact. Impact of this comes, one, of course, within the organization is on the recruitment team and the business team, that how do they adopt. Two is on the external side, and that is on the candidate who is supposed to join, how he gets accustomed, how does he use the tool, what is the experience he faces. And three, the third pillar, who I call is an orchestrating party between both, the hiring consultant. He is the orchestrating party between the candidate, the prospective joinee, and the organization. So, any thoughts on how this process will create an impact on these parties?
Okay, again, coming back, it's not just about the tool or the impact.
Sure.
It's about how do you position it in the eyes of the stakeholders. For me, you talk about the triage, the business fraternity, you spoke about the consultants and the talent by itself. What I truly believe is the tool should speak what you want to speak, the narrative of the organization, so that in the eyes of talent, you're serious as a choice, as a career choice. I think that's where I would come from. For me, the prism would be from the lens of the talent, because we truly believe that there is a talent war out there, and unless your tool resonates with your narrative, unless whatever you would want to do for whatever cost arbitrage or maybe efficiencies, at the end of it, it has to be mirroring what you are conveying or what you're trying to say to the talent. I think you need to get that sweet spot right, in my view.
I'm not going to go on the tool side, but my problem is Arun was showing a transition from 2010 to 2024, 2025 or something like that, right? We spoke about tool, but there was no transition. We spoke about the humans behind it, which are recruiters. Can someone tell me what is the difference between being a recruiter in the past and what do we call now? Anybody can answer? What is the role of a recruiter is now? Talent attraction partner or talent partner. What is the difference? Sorry? Yeah, see, recruiter, I will put it, since this is an AI related topic, it's the difference between being an agent and agentic. The problem for me is the talent partner, today's world, are still in the place of being an agent, order takers. 95% of the recruiters, I'm not blaming all, that's why I'm giving 95% here. If you fall under that 5%, I'm happy about it. But remaining 90%, 95% falls under recruiter category, and they've just not moved on, right? And I'm going to be brutal here, they will lose the job.
Okay.
To AI. Definitely. Because if you don't know how to use AI, definitely you're going to lose the job. And if you don't know how to spend time, a star recruiter doesn't mean that he could be a star talent partner, because the partner requires influencing skill, being that consultant, and being embedded inside the business. Are you that person? That is where the question comes, and that is where the fear of job loss is going to be even more. Because we are running behind numbers. I would partially blame the company, historically the way it was running, because the workforce plan was never shared, and there is also nothing to upgrade the talent partner in today's world, right? If somebody can start a talent acquisition academy, I would be really happy. In fact, personally, I'm starting one in my company to upgrade the talent partners, and the moment you go to any CEO or CFO or CHRO discussion globally, the first question when we implement any of the tool in the market, The return on investment is not on anything else. It's clearly on how many you can reduce. And I'm not talking about one CHRO talking about this. At least I would have discussed with 3 companies which I have worked with, all 3 talking the same language. Give me a prediction, how many you can reduce? First simple question. Do I have an answer? Bala has an answer? Nobody can answer. And they're asking us the timeline, basically. And I have to negotiate. Started with 12 months, and then I said 18 months. And that's how I negotiate, but we are not putting people names over there, right? The names depends on who is going to adapt and who is not going to adapt, and who could do a better partnering work and who is just going to stay as a recruiter. This is where the threat is going to come.
For me, I think today with all the tools available, AI tools available, the talent partner, I'll use the word partner, has access to a lot of information. And that needs to be fed in back to the organization, right? For example, if I'm doing a location strategy, I look upon my talent partner to tell me whether it's right, or tell me if these are the skills this is why you should be building on. My talent partner should be challenging my compensation team, saying these are the ranges you give me, but this is what the market says. Now let's have a conversation, right? It can never be that compensation gives a range, talent team comes back and says I cannot hire within these ranges. That's why my time to hire is taking long, because I'm trying to find that person who comes at this cost, right? I expect the talent partner to actually go back and tell the compensation team your range is haywire. Do it, right? And if I ask for a particular skill and you don't find that in the market, I expect my talent partner to come back and say this is the closest skill which I can find, and then work with my learning team to see how I can address that gap. So it stops from being someone who gives me head counts to be filled to actually help me in my journey to build the organization.
Well, thank you for that.
One further
Please.
aspect, of course, the tool is there, and I was, in fact, I'm talking from my experience. We know what is type 2 errors, right? What exactly we shouldn't be doing, we pick and say it's right. So we should be very, very careful on whatever input, whatever learning the tool is trying to do, right? You're feeding it with the right kind of sanctity-filled data, sanctity-filled real-time things that has got to be going in. Because type 2 errors, I've seen enough, and you kind of totally abandon the tool, saying that it's not performing for me, but the problem is with us rather than the tool.
It's like growing a baby. As simple as that.
Good, I think that's anyways answers our next question, which I had in mind, was that how will this technology and shaping across and this landscape hit the job market of recruiters? And I'll take that ahead, and there's a ticker already going on. So I'll just try to summarize on what all we went through, that what are the expectations of the boardroom, and how the main question is ROI. And when I talk about this question as ROI, and I have a few quick ones for the crowd as well. When one question I talk about only about ROI, it is ROI not only in terms of money, but today the board is talking about the return on investments, even in terms of experience. When a candidate, a prospective candidate, is joining the respective organization, he's expecting him to be a future leader, and he wants him to be a brand ambassador out in the market, that what kind of hiring experience he had before coming into. And it is this talent who goes and gets more talent in terms of reference. Now ROI in terms of reducing the TAT, getting better people. Of course, we spoke about remote working. These are different expectations in terms of jobs. No, there are no job cuts happening. We only said, and my gentlemen, my colleagues agreed, that this is change in jobs, this change in skills, getting refined. And as we spoke, from jobs to careers, and careers to getting specialists. In fact, if you look at it from a recruiter point of view, from a talent source point of view, if I look at it in the future, just like in business, we have consultants who design SAP, Oracle, who do implementation of business systems. We should start looking that in terms of talent itself. Talent specialists should become talent process designers in industries. They should come with that kind of domain expertise, that how you design and implement a talent hiring system and process, rather than having only a huge talent team. In simple words, I'll say it grows more into knowledge management. Thank you so much, my friends. Quickly, anyone here can tell me, how do you define, or in one word, what you would like to say, what is going to be future of HR? One line or one word, quickly. I have 3 minutes. Anyone here? Noah? Anyone, people from fraternity? How do you see HR in the future with automation? Yeah? Friend of? Very good. That's a very nice answer. I think we're good round. HR needs to be a friend of AI. AI has to be a supporter of HR, and HR needs to take over AI. So AI is not here to take jobs. AI is an assistant, and people who use AI well can take over better jobs. Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you. Yeah. You have a question, please? Please.
Rajesh and all the panelists. So,
There's a question.
yeah, we are getting into the Q&A.
Okay.
So now that we have listened to all the panelists, anyone from the crowd, you can ask a couple of questions. Please make sure that you are keeping your questions crisp and short so that it will be easy for them to also answer to it.
So do I have to ask easy questions?
No, you
Keep
can
it
just keep it
crisp.
short.
Hi, Raja. Raja, I like that 95%, 5% you said. Are you seeing more of 95% moving to 5%? Which means you have hired your team wrong.
I'm not saying from the team. I keep looking at the people in the market.
That's
I
right.
keep going outside. When I recruit, I make sure that are they even scalable. That's all I need. I'm not looking at what are they currently. Are they scalable is more important for me. That's it. But when I start interviewing people, and that's where this 95% is coming, and I keep talking to people, and my entire circle is into HR. I've never moved out of TA. So which means 20 years or 17 years, all I'm seeing is recruiters.
Right, that's exactly where I'm coming to. See, when he put that chart up where he said that intelligence, from humanization to intelligization, he said 1900s to 2000. So I started recruiting in 1998. Recruiters haven't changed. The fact is, it's the circumstances which have changed recruitment and made them the emotional doormats of the company. So therefore, loss of intelligence in recruitment is actually not a creation of recruitment itself. All of us in organizations, in large organizations, when they found that somebody is a non-performer, they moved them into recruitment. Between the 2000 to 2010, where a lot of these things happened, and recruiters stopped getting an opportunity to represent themselves in the board. During the earlier, like you would know, when we started recruiting, we were always called to the table to talk and represent in front of customers. How many of us do that today? The reason for that is, over a period of time, we have handed over everything we have not been intelligent enough, and therefore this is AI that is taking over. When I go to my son and tell them what I do, he asks me, when do you do real work? Which means it started 30 years back. So therefore, I think it's an erosion, and I think we should strive, like the idea which you put up across stating that you're starting a talent acquisition academy. You have to draw a lot more of these 95% into that 5% and grow that.
That's exactly point, right? Because I just joined a recently company. I know time is up, but just 30 seconds. I just joined a company. I can see that I can fire all 20 people, but I'm not doing that currently because I need somebody to scale up from there. And I'm still evaluating their skills, and I'm sure at least 10 will pass through, and let's see how it goes.